Somewhere in a locked vault at Yale University sits a book that has beaten every codebreaker who has ever opened it. 600 years old, 240 pages, written in a language that matches nothing on Earth. The NSA tried to crack it. The CIA has a copy. In 2026, someone finally claimed they'd solved it using AI. They were wrong. And the reason they were wrong tells you something strange about how easily we can fool ourselves into seeing patterns that aren't there. This is Voynich MS-408. Most people know it by a different name, the Voynich Manuscript, named after Wilfred Voynich, the rare book dealer who bought it in 1912 and spent the rest of his life trying to figure out what it was. Carbon dating places the vellum, that's calfskin parchment, to the early 1400s. So whatever this is, it's genuinely medieval, not a modern hoax dressed up to look old. The book has bounced between private collectors for centuries until it landed permanently at Yale's Beinecke Rare Book Library in 1969, where it remains today, digitized and available for anyone to study. Here's where it gets strange. The book is written entirely in a script that doesn't match any known alphabet, language, or writing system in human history. Not Latin, not Greek, not any dead language we've ever cataloged. Scholars call it Voynichese, and the illustrations don't help. There's a section that looks like a botanical guide, except none of the plants match any known species, real or extinct. There's an astronomical section with star charts and zodiac wheels that don't correspond to any sky chart from any known culture. And then there's the section that makes people the most uncomfortable. Dozens of small, nude female figures connected by tubes and pipes bathing in green liquid in what looks almost like a biological or plumbing diagram. Nobody has ever agreed on what it means. This isn't a book that only amateurs have failed to crack. William and Elizabeth Friedman, the husband and wife cryptographer team who helped break Japan's purple cipher during World War II, one of the most significant code-breaking achievements in history, spent decades of their careers on the Voynich Manuscript. They never cracked it. If the people who broke Imperial Japan's most guarded communications couldn't make a dent in this thing, that alone should tell you something about what we're dealing with. For most of the 20th century, the leading theory was that it might just be an elaborate hoax, meaningless scribbles designed to con a wealthy buyer. But recent research has made that harder to believe. In 2024, researchers Keegan Brewer and Michelle Lewis published a study arguing the manuscript's strange biological imagery isn't random at all. It's about the medieval understanding of the female body, conception, and gynecology. Topics that were considered too taboo to write about openly in the 1400s, which is exactly why, they argue, the author might have hidden it behind an invented script in the first place. Then, in 2025 and 2026, a separate study proposed something different, that the text could have been produced using a real historical encryption method. Researchers now call it the Navy cipher, a way of turning ordinary Latin or Italian text into something that looks exactly like Voynichese, using tools people actually had access to in the medieval period, including card games. Here's the important part. Even the researchers behind that study were careful to say this doesn't decode the manuscript. It just proves a cipher could have been built this way. Other experts called it a useful benchmark, not an answer. And this is where 2026 got interesting. A research group, one that declined to name itself or its institution while its findings were still unpublished, claimed a custom AI model had decoded major sections of the manuscript after training on every known ancient script, from Linear A to the Rongo Rongo of Easter Island. The claim spread fast. The problem is what happened next. Linguists who reviewed it, including researchers at UCL, pushed back hard. Their argument: large language models are extremely good at producing output that looks structured and meaningful, even when it isn't. That's not a decoding. That's the same reason AI chatbots can confidently state things that are completely false. The pattern looks convincing, whether or not there's real meaning underneath it. This wasn't even the first time someone had announced they'd solved the Voynich Manuscript. Over the decades, there have been theories ranging from a lost dialect of a real language, to a manual disguised as gynecology, to a full hoax with no meaning at all. Almost every single one has eventually been picked apart by the wider academic community. So, where does that leave us? Broadly, there are 4 camps. Camp 1. It's a hoax. No real content, built to trick a buyer centuries ago into paying for something valuable looking. Camp 2. It's a real, unrecorded language, spoken by a small community in 15th century Europe that otherwise left no written trace behind. Camp 3. It's a cipher, an encoded version of a real language using a system nobody has fully reverse engineered yet. Camp 4. The strangest one. It's real writing, but not meant to be logical. Some researchers have proposed it could be a record of a mystical or trance-like state, meaningful to the person who wrote it, but never designed to be decoded by anyone else at all. Each theory explains part of the puzzle. None of them explain all of it. 600 years. The NSA's best cryptographers. A CIA copy. Modern AI trained on nearly every dead language in the historical record. And the book has outlasted every single attempt to make it speak. Maybe that's the actual answer. Some mysteries aren't waiting to be solved. They're just waiting for someone new to try.